Hi, and welcome back. My name is Elna from elnakane.com, and for today, I'm going to talk about the top responsibilities for a freelance writing job description, as well as some other tasks for you. All right, so over here on my new blog on Elna Kane, let's go through it. Okay, so I do introduce myself, and I say, what if a job description mentions tools you never used, or you mention continually develops like blog post topics? Oh my goodness, they ask you, get some blog topics for us, right, and pitch. Or, you have to also structure your day and all the important things to grow your business. But let's really dive down into the job description and the responsibilities for freelance writers. Okay, so here we go. Freelance writer descriptions vary the different ways to tell you what they want. So if you ever read a job description for a freelance writing gig and went, uh-oh, I didn't know you had to do that, well, you might come across that. And here's a nice little tweet that you have to scramble to learn all the things here. So, breaking, new freelance writer desperately trying to learn brands Asana and Slack and Microsoft Teams and Google Docs and meetups and other stuff, right? Like that's what you might come across with a job ad that you really like, but then you realize you have to learn, 5 different tools that you've never even touched or know about. In a nutshell, let's just go over the basics of a job description for a freelance writing job and what you should have under your belt and some things that you should have or would be good to have as an addition. You'll notice a pattern if you visit any of the dozens of free job boards online. And I do have a video of lots of different sites you can go to that are free, so make sure you check that video after this one. Most job ads will state the company and what they are known for, what the job entails, and then have a section of the responsibilities of the freelance writer. So here's a little sample of one. They're looking for a freelance writer with experience and interest in graphic design. So this is a little bit more niched down. The content they're planning to produce will mainly be like how-tos for various graphic software applications. So Photoshop, Illustrator, GIMP. That's why they want someone with knowledge in the graphic design so they know those tools and how to use them, and maybe take screenshots with their blog posts on how to use masks in Photoshop, or how to create a book in Illustrator, or whatever the topic might be. And so you can do a step-by-step by understanding those graphic design tools. They also want someone that's interested in testing out the tools. If it's a new tool that they want to talk about, you can test it out, explaining how to use them in a simple way, and deliver edited images for describing the screenshots or providing a custom feature image for the articles. Again, if you're familiar with graphic design, if you know how to use these tools, then you would be familiar and comfortable with creating those graphics for them. What they expect here, and then what we expect from you. These are mostly the responsibilities that you really need to pay attention to as a new freelance writer. So again, experience, they're prefacing that topmost here with graphic design. Okay, it's a big plus. It doesn't say that they require it. It's just a big plus, right? That you can take feedback and implement it into future writing. That's very important, and I'll go into that. That you don't have a problem with having your name and a short bio published on the website. Who wouldn't have a problem with that, right? You want your name out there. That's a way to market your writing and get better clients. Definitely you want clients that will have an author bio up for your content on their blog. And then clear communication and expectations. So be clear what we can expect from you, and always ask for feedback if necessary. So this is on your end of how you communicate with clients in a way that they understand exactly what they're going to get from you, the deadlines, what you're going to submit, how you're going to submit your content, things like that. I just summed it right here, what the job asked. So let's go over these in greater detail. So the first one is being a great researcher. If you didn't know, LinkedIn is a goldmine for finding client work. I do have a video on LinkedIn, so make sure you check that out. It's great for cold pitching and warm pitching and prospecting. If you don't know, LinkedIn does have a job section. You can go to it, and I found responsibilities on being proficient in researching. So this came from a job description from Shoutbox. And so here's what they said: proficiency in researching and crafting thoughtful and engaging blog content, articles, landing page content, email copy to targeted audiences to help increase conversion. So they really want a writer that can do everything. Content for blogs, landing page content, email too. It's a big gig that they are requiring from one writer. They may hire multiple writers to do this if they can't find the one writer. It says here that you need to provide research-driven copy. So what they really want is this researching and crafting thoughtful and engaging blog content is research-driven, right? So that means finding credible sources. I also have a video on credible sources, so you can can check that out. For me, finding those credible sources and unique sources as well can really help you make more money as a writer, and you can, command high paying rates for that content. And this is just still a learned skill, finding those credible sources and then writing research-driven content, right? So if you want to head over to the blog here, I'll put the link to this blog post, but then you can go to how to become a better writer. That's another blog post here. All right, the second thing is to follow a set of formats for writing. So some freelance writing jobs will have a content marketing strategy. They have a dedicated person to create the post and have done the keywords research for you. Bigger businesses, even startup businesses, are doing that. They hire an SEO team, they get all of the content and the SEO keywords for them, and then they give it to the writer. If that's the case, the client will give you a content brief outlining the post, the intent, keyword, and so on. So for example, when Smart Blogger hired me, they gave me a very detailed content brief, and this helped me immensely when writing my article for them. Over on the ProBlogger job board, which is a free job site, I found a job ad detailing this freelance writer responsibility. So here is from a job I saw. It says, writing for us, you will need to follow specific templates that they will provide. This is not SEO type content. All posts must be well researched and useful for your readers. So, when I think of a format, I do think SEO in mind. And so they made sure that this is not what they want. So for them, their editorial guidelines might be different. It could be a magazine. So they have a different structure, what they want as far as where they want certain features in their content, certain topics and whatnot. Over on Twitter, I asked what one of the top freelance writing responsibilities is for clients. And so Victoria said, being prompt and providing high quality work that meets their brief and conducting myself in a professional manner. That's exactly what you want to deliver with a freelance writing job when you look at those job descriptions. So pitching article topics to clients. This is a big one. You're going to see a lot of that in job descriptions for article writing, that they want you, the writer, to give them the topics. Now, over the years, I was fine with that. That's a great way to develop your research skills. It's a great way to really understand the target audience for your client and finding the right topics, going to competitor sites and seeing what they have and developing content around that, going to SEO tools, developing content around the SEO keywords. There's lots of cool skills that you can learn by, farming these content ideas. But because I've been doing this for so long and I'm trying to raise my rate, and I have been successfully raising my rates, I'm finding that the clients that have a good, deep enough content team, SEO team, they have a separate content person, a marketer or whatnot, or editor, that they have the content for you. They have already developed their content plan and they know what keywords they want to rank for. They already know their brand and they already know what they want to write about. And they just give you the topic. They give you a brief, they give you the title, audience, the keyword, and then maybe some pointers about what they want. Maybe a competitor article that this is what you're going to be competing with, so make something better than that, kind of thing. All of those are beneficial to you. It saves you time when a client gives you that. But like I said, as a beginner, you do want to pick up gigs where you are pitching those clients. And I mentioned that here in this blog post. It's a learned skill. So over here, RentHop needs a freelance writer and details that part of their responsibilities to be adept at proposing new ideas. So writers should feel comfortable proposing their own content ideas. This is something that is a responsibility for a lot of freelance writing job descriptions here. It's something that a lot of companies want from their writers. And I do have a video on finding these blog topics, so you can go check that out after this one. Okay, so feedback. Remember I told you about feedback? You as a freelance writer have to learn how to take feedback graciously. So receiving and applying feedback is definitely something a freelance writer needs to know and handle graciously. It's hard though. As writers, we are invested in our content, and when it's been hacked apart, properly edited, it can sting a little. The last time this happened to me was with a blogging client. So I picked up a reoccurring blogging client, and the editor changed and edited my work almost substantially, almost nitpicked a little things here, and it made a whole bunch of edits on my Google Doc, and it took me aback for a bit. I was shocked because, for years, most of my clients just take my work and they say they love it. They don't mess with it. So it was a little bit different for me. It was around 3 hours before I could calmly read the feedback, apply what the editor said, and respond in a friendly manner. So sometimes you do have to take a step back from your work, do something else, let it ruminate in your mind, and then approach it from this is a learning opportunity. I need to learn from what this editor wants specifically from my writing and for their client. Those are skills that is important to learn as far as, being gracious, being calm, and looking at it in a learning opportunity. So here's one from a writer's work job ad. Report to the lead editor and implement feedback efficiently. This is common, especially if you do magazine writing. And so again, Victoria talked about this. It's very hard. She says, I always write it down before talking it out with someone. That's a nice strategy. It's a skill that's hard to learn, but unfortunately a necessary part of the job. And she asked me how I deal with constructive criticism. them. And I say, I usually take a step back, like I mentioned, and collect my thoughts before reviewing the edits. Always thank the editor or whoever sees my work and implement what they suggest, but it does sting at times. I'm always very gracious. I'm always very kind about that. Like, thank you for letting me know. I'm going to fix them right away kind of thing. So the next one is turning complex ideas into conversational writing. This is key. This is what I teach in freelance blogging in a weekend. So if you struggle with finding those high-paying clients, it's probably because of this, that you're unable to turn complex ideas into conversational writing. If that's the case, go ahead and go to elnakane.com, go to courses and find freelance blogging in a weekend and look at that course and see if that's for you. So just as to reiterate, you're not writing a term paper for college here. You don't need a thesis statement or detailed muddled sentences that convey that you learned the topic from the teacher. Instead, you need to ditch that academic writing and write in a more friendly, down-to-earth way. And you know what? Clients are desperately seeking that type of writing, especially for complex niches like technical writing, medical writing, and legal writing. You know, when you think about those industries, it's not fun to read a blog post, about the legal terms, or to learn a technical aspect of a tool. The writer has to make it more conversational to the masses. And that's a skill that you have to learn over time. So over on the freelance writing job section, there's a job ad that explains this. So the ability to explain complex tech topics in an informed yet accessible tone. So instead of conversational, they call it accessible tone, meaning can masses read this and understand these complex terms in an easy way. So understanding the client's voice and brand messages is key if you decide to do some ghostwriting work. Okay, so there's going to be jobs out there that will just have you ghostwrite from the client, and make sure you let them know that this is a ghostwriting gig, or you ask them, is this a ghostwriting gig? Because some days they won't tell you. You go through the negotiation process, and I always, before I set my rate, I always ask that, because my ghostwriting rate is different than my byline rate. So freelance writer Benjamin takes the idea of his client as a leader in their industry. So it's up to Benjamin, the ghostwriter, to portray that through his ghostwriting, whether he writes an ebook or a newsletter. You want to produce error-free writing. Of course, this is an absolute must as a freelance writer. If you're getting paid for your writing, you must submit error-free writing. So don't worry, you don't have to hire an editor for that or a proofreader. You don't have to spend hours nitpicking over your writing. I highly suggest you invest in a tool like Grammarly. I do have a video on Grammarly and how I use it, so please take a look at that and seriously consider investing in an editing tool, because if this is your job, you need something like an editing tool to help you. And what's nice about using Grammarly is that it gives you a score. Now, I like to give this score to my clients to show them I used Grammarly and achieved a high score for them, making my writing appear more valuable. I've been finding that clients like this. It's something that they can measure from a writer. If they have a team of writers, then they can measure how well their content is by something like a Grammarly score. Again, it's another way to sort of convince you that you do need something like Grammarly to provide to clients, because it's a nice addition. And I'm finding with my new high-paying clients that they like something like this. So number 8, meeting deadlines. In a freelance job description, it might stipulate something like, we have strict deadlines, or, you're going to be writing 2 posts a month, things like that. That tells you that they really value deadlines. So it's important to turn in your work on time, but it's even better if you can turn it earlier than what they expect. And that's wowing your clients. So for me, I always set an internal deadline a few days before the actual deadline to work better and more proficiently. And that's sort of like the Parkinson's law at work. Ali, the freelance writer, mentions 3 writing responsibilities with meeting deadlines a number 2. So meeting deadlines were not possible to inform in advance. Like, that's high on her list. All right, so those are the top responsibilities of a job description for freelance writers. If you want to know more about responsibilities for your freelance writing business and more, head over to elnakane.com and read this blog post. There's a lot of great information. I have about 17 responsibilities, and I've only covered 8 of them in this video. So let me know in the comments below if there's any other job responsibilities that you've come across that would help other writers who watch this video. And please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.